Hi, I'm sitting here in my Tesla Model Y Juniper, and if you follow my channel, you knew that I actually like to have a screen in front of me, and I have one here for the Juniper as well. It is a CarPlay screen, an Android Auto screen. It gives you a lot of information about what's going on in your car that you don't have to actually look at the screen, and there's actually some features in here that may surprise you. I want to show it to you. Now, this right here is a screen that was sent to me by my friends at Handshow. I've done reviews of their products before with front screens, and overall, most of them have actually been pretty darn good. And I have to admit that this one for the Juniper delivers, mostly. I'll get to some of the things that I would like to see improved. But if you're looking for a screen that has all of your information on it at one time, you want to have the ability to do Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which you can't do in the Tesla, then this screen is potentially right for you. Now, before we jump into the installation, and the installation was trickier, considerably trickier in the Juniper because of the dash configuration. We'll get into all of that. It doesn't require any tools except a pry tool. And there's no drilling of holes. There's no screwing of things. The screen just kind of clips in and clips on and gives you everything that you need. I'm just going to stop talking about it right now. Let's actually hit the road. And I'll show you what some of these screens look like and what you can do with this particular screen. And then we'll swing her back around for the installation and my final thoughts. This is one of the drive modes. You'll see a car here in the center, and you've got some gauges over here for your PSI of your tires. You've got your speed limit. Right now we're in park. Let's go ahead and put it in drive, which we are going, and let's just go for a little bit of a drive. As we're driving, you get real-time updates of your speed. Now, there are 3 UI configurations, and I have to admit that they aren't very different from each other. But you can switch them by going to settings. And to get to the settings, what you want to do is you want to probably be stopped here. So when you're stopped, you can go ahead and swipe down from the top and get to our settings here. And we can go to display, and we can ship to UI 2. We'll go ahead and hit home. And now you can see a different gauge here where we see this kind of a, I don't know, tachometer kind of view. On the left-hand side, we have some consumption information, which I actually don't find particularly useful. Down in the bottom corner, you'll always see your battery and your range at the same time. You can tell if your lights are on. It also can tell you if there is someone in your blind spot. You'll actually see some blinking and those types of things on there. And if you're running basic autopilot and the nag shows up, you'll see the nag on the screen as well. Now here's UI 3. It is almost exactly the same as UI 1. It does fill the screen when you're driving. If I put it in autopilot here or FSD, you'll get the indicator on the screen up here that we're in FSD. But other than that, it's basically the same as UI 1. I just really wish they had more of a dash cluster kind of option, but they don't right at the moment. We can swipe here and see information about distance traveled, and we can also see our consumption here. We can get to our settings, CarPlay, which we'll show here in just a second, and Android Auto, which I can't show you because I have an iPhone. Now, another feature that you're going to find in this is some actual automation with your car. If you swipe down from the top, you're going to have access to something to allow you to manually precondition your battery, or pop the doors open, or adjust the passenger side seat. You see some of this automation popping up all over the place, like the sexy buttons or the sexy knob through the Commander, through that product. But this screen has the ability to do that as well. Just swipe down from the top and just select the functions that you want to select. And that's actually kind of handy if you don't have any of those other gadgets to help you out. Now, those features by themselves are, I would say, somewhat compelling, and probably, in my opinion, not compelling enough to shell out the cash for this particular screen, unless you really are a diehard and you want something directly in front of you, and I am not. But what's probably bringing you to this is the ability to do Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Now, to connect CarPlay to this screen, it's basically what you would expect. Is you go into the Bluetooth settings on your iPhone, you'll see the screen show up in Bluetooth, select it, pair with your device, and then your iPhone will ask you, do you want to connect CarPlay? You say yes, and once you're done, the screen will automatically connect wirelessly, and you're good to go with CarPlay. Let's just check out what the CarPlay looks like. Now, I am running iOS 26 beta, which is coming out this fall, and CarPlay may look a little bit different, but when you get iOS 26, it's going to look exactly like this. They have some slight updates to what it looks like, but with that, let's just check out CarPlay. When it pulls up, this is the CarPlay screen. You can gain access to everything that you do in CarPlay. With iOS 26, we have the new widgets menu, which might be useful to you if you just don't want to be looking at a CarPlay screen. You've got weather, you've got the clock. These are configurable. We can go to our overview screen. We have a map. We can get to our podcasts, or we can get to whatever apps you have installed that are CarPlay compatible. Like here with Waze. And when I'm traveling, I will often have Waze up and running. It lets me know if there are things going on in the road, where, you know, speed warnings, speed signals, traffic signals, police officers, you know, if you're going a little fast. And any wrecks or might happening, Waze will let you know what's going on. So this is actually really nice. You can see the screen is pretty responsive. I come back to the main screen here, and it actually works about as well as you would think it should. And overall, I'm impressed. Now, as far as getting audio out of your device, you've got a couple of ways to go. This actually has a built-in speaker, and that's what I actually have it set up to do. It's broadcast out of the speaker. I don't want it to connect to the Bluetooth in my car, which you certainly can, but I have the speaker set up. It also does over-the-air updates. To get to that, we would swipe down from the top, and you go to the software settings in settings, and you have to actually have the car connect to your phone as a hotspot. And once you do that, then you can download some over-the-air updates. And there's been a couple that I've gotten since I've received this screen once Wi-Fi is enabled. You can go in and change your general preference settings. We've got things like temperature, hours, time zones, whether speed limits are in what they call general and American. I think that's more like kilometers and miles per hour. You can switch where you want your audio to go. You can switch your tire pressure and also pick the language. It also supports specifically the Model Y Juniper and Highland. You can actually pick on the screen what you want to show, everything from a Model 3, a Model Y Juniper, or a Model 3 Highland, and the graphical change. And of course, you can actually change the color of everything that you want, and you can select between left drive and right drive. And for those of you watching this in the US, probably most of you, it's going to be left drive. We've already covered the display settings. You can force it into light mode or dark mode or follow the screen. I actually like the dark mode. It's a little less intrusive. And there's also a full screen and half screen. If you select half screen, then CarPlay will not take up the entire screen. You'll always see a little bit of the dash about what's actually going on. So that is the overall functionality of this screen. And do you think this is right for you? Well, I like it. I like almost all of it. I'll swing back at the end and tell you what I wish it had done better. But before we get into that, if you stuck around this long, probably the next thing you're wondering is, what's it take to install this thing? So let's get it installed. This screen is going to mount right here, but a pry tool. We've got a little clip here, and this all just kind of sits in here like this, but obviously it doesn't fit at the moment because we're going to need to do a little surgery, which involves removing this top fabric piece and doing a little surgery on the right-hand side to get the wiring hooked up. I think it's going to be a little tricky actually getting these wires routed, because on the old Tesla Model Ys and 3s, the dash popped off really easily and there was gobs of space under there to route wires like this. But I think underneath this little fabric piece here, it is going to be a little tight, and that's why they gave us the fish tape. So let's get into it. Step one, I think, is going to be removing the dash. I'm going to use a pry tool to do that, and I know that there are a ton of clips on this thing, so it's likely going to take me a little bit of time. Okay, that's off. I think that's going to be one of the hardest parts of this whole thing. That was not as easy to remove as the old Model Ys and Model 3s. There are a ton of little clips, and with a little elbow grease, take your time. You don't want to break anything. It did eventually pop off. Now that we've got the dash taken apart, we can kind of see how this is going to mount. We're going to clip in here, and we're going to go ahead and it's going to slide in right into that gap, kind of wedge in. And you can see that it positions itself right over the vent itself. And these wires are going to go somewhere. They're going to get tucked up in here, and they're going to route basically, I think, over to this cavity right here, which then will meet up with the other wire bundle and get that on there. But for now, pop this out. Again, no tools. which is kind of nice. Nothing, you know, requiring it to be secured down with any sort of drilling of holes or anything like that. So let's move over to the right side and let's get the right side of the car taken apart so we can get this wiring done. Now the wire harness needs to get into the car, and it happens down here in the footwell. In order to get in there, we've got to do a little bit of surgery, and I've had this apart once before for another project. Let me tell you, it's not too bad. Again, all you need is a pry tool. We're going to start by pulling back our weather stripping. We're going to have to pull it back quite far, just see here in a second. And because this whole piece is going to come out. And then now we need to get this piece out here. And it's just a matter of getting a pry tool in there. This, not even a pry tool, sometimes just your fingers. There you go. It's just a plastic cover with plastic little push locks there. And from there, we've got a pop socket here that we want to remove. Now what we're trying to get to is this right here, which allows us to connect to the computer. I have another accessory installed because the original port is back here. These are designed to daisy chain. We also have our power hookup here. Again, I have another accessory installed. That'll be a later video. We can daisy chain in this as well just to get our power with everything. We're going to route the cables up and over into the side, and then we're going to fish tape them up into the dash and over. So I guess that's our next step. This is our cable bundle, and there's actually more here than we need. This will hook into the car computer, and then we've got two different power adapters depending on which car you have. We've got just two different styles here, and it's going to be just pretty easy to pick the one that fits the hole and use that side. The other side will just lay free. There is a fuse here in case something goes wrong later down the road, but probably won't need to worry about that. And then there is the long cable to the other end, and that's what hooks to the screen. So let's get this plugged in. Okay, let's plug in the computer connection, just like that. And we need to find the power side. We'll disconnect the power here. It's a little difficult to do with one hand, but I did that off camera. Slide that in. We're powered up. And I should be able to plug this into the screen and have it powered up. And I think I'm going to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and plug this in real quick. And look, the screen's powering up. That's a good sign. All right, this run of fish tape is through. We just got to then use the included electrical tape, wire this up, and see if we can fish it through. Well, I got the first section of cord fished through, and I have to admit that was a bit of a pain in the butt. I took a couple of routes from the top of the dash, and the one that seems to work the best is pretty much as short of a run as you can get, which is from the very top right all the way through the top of the dash. Let me flip this around so I can show you. So we come into the dash up here, and we entered in right over here. There's a large cavity here that you can kind of fish into, and that was able to come up here. I've got the tape fished through this section, and we're going to go into this main cavity, and this is the last place that we need to get this large run to. And it's a bit tricky, but it's doable, at least so far. Okay, the fish tape got pulled through that section there, which was considerably easier. Now we got to get the screen mounted and get the wires pulled back through here into this area, and then we can connect it up, and then we should be pretty much done and button this thing up. All right, let's go ahead and mount the screen in its final location. We're going to go ahead and just kind of get this centered up, kind of eyeballing it on the center opening down here on the console. Also, it looks like it also lines up with the far edge of this vent. So like it's pretty well wedged in there. So now we just need to get the cables. We have two cables. This one is for what we're going to connect the power. This one here is for a camera, and I assume it's for a camera for a Highland that doesn't have a camera, but the new Model Ys have a camera, so we're just going to kind of tuck this away and forget about it for now. Let's go ahead and fish this tape, this wire through to the main cavity, get us all hooked up, and hopefully this installation will be pretty much done. All right, the right side is all buttoned up. The last thing we just pop on the dash, and there's a center post here. that you probably want to line up first. Just kind of orients it side to side. Kind of feel around and see if any edge is sticking up like it is right here. Give it a good snap. All right, it's installed, finally. All right, I told you I was going to do this. I'd swing around and tell you that if I had any complaints, and I do have a couple of minor ones. I have to admit that my biggest negative on this screen has to do with the UI selections. There just aren't enough of them. I really wish that there was more of a large, drop the graphics, just give me data, give me a speed limit or miles per hour that's like, 3 inches tall, and make it actually useful and show a lot of information on the screen as you can, unlike what you have now, which is basically 2 UI screens, 1 and 3, that look very similar to each other, and the second one, which frankly I don't find useful at all. But the CarPlay is what shines on this unit, and it is very responsive and it works very, very well. And I like the fact that once you get past the wiring, which there's really nothing you can do about that because in the new Highland and Juniper, the dash is completely different. There's just not a lot of space. I like that it clips on. And another thing that I didn't even talk about is the air vents. The air actually gets ducted through this screen, so you don't have to compromise on the air. You can actually still feel the air coming off the front of the screen because the air is ducted on through. Overall, I think I like this screen. I'm going to keep it around for a while and let you decide if it's right for you. If it is right for you, I'll leave a link in the description below to swing over to their site and pick up one of your own. And make sure you use the checkout code IOWATESLA because I can save you a boatload of money because there is probably a little bit of sticker shock when it comes to these things, but it's just list price. Put in that discount code and it'll bring it down to what might be considered a more reasonable price. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate you going down there and tapping the like button. Hey, and leave a comment while you're down there. Let me know what you think of this screen. Is it good? Is it bad? Let me know. And also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you go down there and tap that subscribe button. Subscriptions are always welcome. And if you're looking to pick up a Tesla of your own, and I would highly recommend it, make sure you start that process with a referral link to get all kinds of goodies with your car. It does kind of change over time, but start your process with a referral link. Costs you nothing, gets you something. And if you want to start that process with iowateslaguy.com, that would be great. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.